Good morning, One Heart, One Mind, Center for Spiritual Living. Um, so in keeping with our theme, our monthly theme of light, I picked out some music that speaks to that theme. I don't think we've heard some of it before. I'm going to just not share it's not a video, so I'm just going to share sound, which actually seems to work out a little better for us. So let me get that going. Oh, there she is. Hi, Gisela. So I'm gonna just share the computer audio. There we go. This is Margaret Owen, who is oh, she's one of my go-tos.
Oh, light,
Can you hear it?
come, light, lead us through the darkness. Oh, light, come, light, lead us safely home. Oh, love, come, love, lead us through the darkness. Oh, love, come, love, lead us safely home. Oh, peace, come, peace, lead us through the darkness. Oh, peace, come, peace, lead us safely home. Oh, light, come, light, lead us through the darkness. Oh, light, come, light, lead us safely home. Lead us safely home. Lead us safely home.
Ah, oh, that was a wonderful way to begin. Lead us safely home. And of course, we're talking about light, the faith that lights the darkness today. So it seemed appropriate to talk about the light. Rob is our practitioner of the day. You knew that, right? You knew that, right, Rob? You
Yeah,
had a
yeah, yeah, I
random
figured that
shocked
out.
look on your face. I'm like,
Yeah, we'll do this.
okay,
Okay.
good. That was funny.
Well, Michelle just mentioned that today's topic is entitled Faith That Lights the Darkness, which refers to the Hanukkah story where a small amount of oil miraculously burned for 8 days. And I'm not going to speak about the oil miracle, partly because Michelle might want to, and partly because I know less about Jewish traditions than I do about Christian traditions, which is not much. But I do like speaking about manifestation. In our Tuesday evening class, we're reading Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. And in that book is the following sentence: thoughts are cause, experiences are effect. I like that sentence because that is exactly the way I like to explain what we call the law. Thoughts always precede experiences, and experiences are separated from thoughts by a long or short time delay. And the only reason that prayers work is prayers are thoughts. But in terms of power, not all thoughts are created equal. And the reason we teach 5-step spiritual mind treatment is that those prayers produce powerful, high octane thoughts. And I know I just noticed in the email that Michelle is going to be talking about 5-step treatment, so I'm not going to say much about that. But all thoughts create experiences, and everyone is having thoughts continuously. So how is it that humanity, for the most part, is unaware that their thoughts have power? It's my contention that one's level of spiritual development has a massive effect on both the quality and the timeliness of your experience, which, in the case of prayer, is your manifestation. As an example, say you're a popular rabbi, but instead of needing 8 days worth of oil, say you need some munchies to feed your congregation, and say you're about to give a sermon on the Mount. So you've got thousands of people to feed, and you need a lot of loaves and fishes, and you need them now. Now, my own spiritual development is not that remarkable. If I prayed for munchies for all the attendees of a major event, that prayer would definitely create an effect, but that effect might show up during the event, or maybe the next day, or the next week, or the next month. So I might pray for enough food to feed all the attendees of Petco Park, which, if you're not from San Diego, is a stadium here in San Diego. That prayer would absolutely create an effect, but perhaps with my current level of spiritual development, all I'd get is a bag of Doritos and some French onion dip. And as I said, that food might show up on time, but it might show up too late to help. Subjective mind works that way, and that's okay. Now, I can't say whether or not the Jerusalem temple high priests, whose Hebrew title I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, whether or not they were able to finagle 8 days of flame out of a single day's worth of oil. And likewise, I can't definitively say that the historical Jesus actually produced fish sandwiches because I was not there. But when I observe my own limited ability to manifest, I can say, I can extrapolate that a sufficiently spiritually evolved individual could accomplish the loaves and fishes trick and all the other abracadabra stuff with which Jesus is credited. Now, I don't believe you need to wield the same spiritual power that the King of the Jews was purported to have had, but whether or not you should increase your spiritual power can be found in your answer to the following question: is your life fun? If it's not, don't sweat it. One heart, one mind. We're an association of people who have come together to support each other in increasing our spiritual understanding. And that increase in understanding inevitably results in an increase in spiritual power. And spiritual power enables you to specify the experiences you want, which, in a nutshell, means that you get to feel the way you want. And that is the big effing deal to end all big effing deals. Let us pray. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and that life is my life now. And right now, I am feeling the presence. I am feeling the goodness of God. I am feeling the love of God. I am feeling the wonder of God, and it is filling me up. And I am knowing right now that that goodness is always there. I am always supported. I know right now that there is always enough oil. There is always everything that I need, and this is a blessed place to be. We are so lucky to be here, living in God, fully taken care of, fully supported, 100%. And it's the goodness is just, it's just overwhelming. And so right now I am knowing for our group here today, for our Sunday association, that we are supported by Reverend Michelle, that there is good, inspiring thought coming our way, and that thought, that those stories and those insights will help us in the coming week, will help us to live a better life, a more fulfilling life in our own estimation. And this is the goodness of God coming through. This is a blessed meeting today, and we are so lucky to be here together. I release my word to the universe. I let it be. I let it go. And if you care to join me, we say, and so it
So
is.
it is.
And with any luck, there it is. December's affirmation. The light of the one life is alive in me now. It expresses as clarity, wholeness, and infinite possibility. I recognize this divine light in every person and every unfolding moment. I allow the light within me to guide me on my way, expressing as my good. I couldn't have said it better myself, and so it is.
Thank you, Rob. That was beautiful. And thank you for touching on that that particular miracle instead of the oil, because yes, I will be talking about the oil. That's but it was perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, and welcome everybody that wasn't on before Rob's wonderful prayer. And I do have some more music just to kind of kick us off before the talk. I'm just going to share this. And this is one of my favorites. This is India Ari. I really know what I'm going to play because she says it beautifully. She talks about light.
My family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. The color of my eyes, I am not the skin on the outside, I am not my age, I am not soul inside is all right. Ooh. I am light. I am light, I am light. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
All light. We're all light. Oh, I can just feel my whole being just lighting up as all light. I'm going to change the view so that we're just on speaker. There we go. Oh, okay. Well, I love that song. What a great way to kick off and talk about faith that lights the darkness. So I do want to say, because I always want to say hello to everyone, whether they're on the call or not. So good morning, One Heart, One Mind, Center for Spiritual Living. And I always reflect on our community as I'm putting my talk together, and especially as we move kind of more deeply into our monthly theme, which is obviously light. And I just invite you to know with me as a spiritual community that we are this divine light in the world, that our community is a presence, a vibrational resonance of peace and love and compassion for everyone. So whether you're here in real time or you're listening to the replay, um, you're welcome in this loving space. We celebrate everyone all the time as light. So we're all about light this month. We're celebrating winter solstice, the return of the light, Hanukkah, and the light that refused to be extinguished, and the Christ light of Christmas. And these celebrations remind us that we're the light. And just like light, we are both the wave of potential and the particle of form. We're both divine and we're human. We have our feet in two worlds, in both the unformed world of consciousness and the human time and space reality of our experience. Honestly, it's pretty amazing, this divinely human thing. And today we're talking about the mental attitude, as our founder Ernest Holmes called it, of faith that lights the darkness. And since today is the first day of Hanukkah, I thought we'd kick things off looking at faith through the Hanukkah story. And here is my simplified or abbreviated version of the Hanukkah story from a Gentile perspective. I did not grow up in this particular tradition, but I think the story is accessible for everyone. So the story goes that in the year 168 BCE, which is before Jesus, before the Common Era, the Jewish people lived under the rule of a Syrian king. And if I get the details a little bit wrong, please forgive me. I just pulled stuff offline. Who the Syrian king wanted to erase the entire spiritual identity of the Jewish people. He didn't just want to rule them. He wanted to tell them how to think and what to value and who they were allowed to be. And all their sacred practices were outlawed. And their sacred temple, which was a place of prayer and unity, just like most spiritual communities, that it was desecrated and it was stripped of all of the things that meant something to these people. Now, as a metaphor, we could look at the Hanukkah story as the presence of our own inner light. We might say that this was a time when outer forces tried to dim the inner light of the Jewish people with fear and conformity and domination, attempting to replace their inherent spiritual freedom, the same as all of us, and their inner knowing of their own divine nature. So the story goes that a very small group of people, the Maccabees, refused to let this happen. And they rose up to fight what looked like a very precarious, uncertain victory. But they rose up because they believed in something deeper than the current outside circumstances, than what was going on around. I mean, it wasn't blind faith or blind belief. It was a spiritual conviction. It was a knowing that the divine presence within them couldn't be extinguished by any external power or be told what to do or think or feel. And then against overwhelming odds, they won the battle and they reclaimed their temple. And one of the first things they did was to relight the menorah, which was a symbol of divine light it was supposed to burn continually, to be a flame that never went out. But what they found, and this is the part of the story that we've probably all heard many times, is they only had enough oil for one day. Logic said, wait, and fear said, there isn't enough. And reason said, this won't last. But faith said, light it anyway. So they did. And the light just kept burning. One day became 2 days, 2 days became 8 days. And not because the oil changed, but because their consciousness changed. And kind of like Rob did, I tried to find some historical evidence to say that the miracle actually literally happened. And of course, there was none, at least not in the way the story is told today. But I don't think that diminishes the power or the meaning of the story. And from a new thought perspective, this isn't a story about God suspending natural law. It's a story about alignment with spiritual law. When consciousness is aligned with truth, when intention is rooted in the awareness of the divine presence, of divine abundance, then supply meets demand. Life responds. That's how the law works. And Hanukkah reminds us of that light, the infinite givingness of God. It's not something we have to earn. It's something that already exists within us. And we demonstrate it as we recognize, embody, and allow it to flow through us as we become a channel for its expression. Ernest Holmes taught that the light is an illumination of consciousness, an awakening to what has always been present within us. And faith is that inner certainty. It's a conscious knowing of this universal truth. Holmes said that spiritual substance is all around us, waiting to be formed. And he said, let's see if I can remember because I didn't write it down. Thus we see what Jesus meant when he said, and I say unto you, ask and it shall be given to you. The law must work in compliance with our demand. I thought that was a strong word to use, a demand, but it is, right? This is how I want you to work, law. Gravity, I want you to hold me down to the earth. Electricity, light my world. The deeper miracle of Hanukkah is that we want to call it, if we want to call it a miracle, we don't have to call it a miracle, is not that a small amount of oil lasted longer than it was expected to, but that people trusted the light enough to light the lamp before they knew how it would turn out. For us, Hanukkah kind of begs the question, where am I invited to light the candle anyway? Where am I being asked to trust the presence of light within me, even when resources seem or feel limited? The answers are unclear, or, my world feels heavy and confused. When do we have that kind of faith to light the lamp anyway? And every time we choose love over fear or truth over convenience or faith over doubt, then we become the place where light's revealed. Then we become the lamp that will not be extinguished. And sometimes we do have this innate or intuitive sense of faith just knowing that we don't even have to question something. For example, I have a deep inner faith that the sun will rise in the east tomorrow and that it will set in the west. And I live my life from this mental attitude, as Holmes called it. But I might not have the same mental attitude of faith when it comes to money. I may not have the same kind of knowing that everything I need will be given to me and that all the financial resources I need will always be available. So, in this area of my life, I may need to cultivate my faith rather than just having it be an innate or an intuitive knowing. I might have to cultivate that. And this is especially necessary when we've developed patterns in our thinking and feeling, which have become our state of being. This is where we live, right? Patterns that are maybe out of sync with divine truth. Um, when what we say we believe might not match how we actually feel. You know what I'm talking about? Well, I say I believe this, but is that how I'm actually feeling, right? Is that the resonance I'm holding? Is that the truth? When our thinking and our feeling aren't coherent, then there's a wonderful spiritual practice to cultivate this coherence. And it's one of the most beneficial tools we have. And of course, in science of mind, it's called spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. So I thought maybe it would be beneficial for us to see how faith runs through this powerful spiritual practice, how it takes us from belief to knowing to embodiment, which creates a state of being that we can live from, that we dwell in, that we don't even have to think about, that it creates that kind of trust. And then, what happens is our lives become these living demonstrations of the good that is obviously infinitely available. Well, maybe it isn't obvious, infinitely available to us all the time. Where we live or the state of our being becomes powerful in our lives. It's what we demonstrate. What do I always say? We don't demonstrate what we believe, we demonstrate who we are. And that's what our state of being is. It's who we are. I know I've shared this story before, but it's such a great illustration. And, you might not even remember it because I tell so many stories. But there's an old Star Trek episode. I used to watch Star Trek all the time. And actually, it's from a spin-off show from Star Trek. And the show was that there was the captain of the ship was communicating with this alien species just through his thoughts. And the aliens were looking through his thoughts and his memories in an effort to understand humanity. And the captain had been in an accident years before where his wife had died in a fire, but he was able to escape. And of course, it was a trauma for him that he still carried around with him. And the aliens kept taking him back to the scene of this incident where his wife had died and asking him, "Why do you live here? Why do you live here?" And he'd explain, "No, no, no, I don't live here. This is just an event that occurred in my life." But they still kept taking him back to the same event, asking the same question, "Why do you live here?" And finally, he understood that this one traumatic event had colored his entire life. This is where he lived. He had faith in the fear that he had felt in the event, and that had become the pattern of his thinking and feeling, and now it had become his state of being. And this is where he lived. This was his dwelling place. And not all of us have had these traumatic events where someone in our life died, but we may have. And they do shape the state of our being. But we've all had things that we've internalized from well-meaning parents and teachers, our culture, from previous experiences. And they might have become a part of who we believe we are. No doubt they have. And they may have developed, we may have developed a sense of faith in them, even though they are completely out of sync with the reality of the divine presence. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I say that we live here, we dwell here. Then one more idea before I jump into the how faith moves through spiritual mind treatment. Just a little piece that kept rattling around in my head as I was putting this together. It's that quote that I shared from Holmes, where he said, "Ask and it shall be given." You know, it's a line from the Bible, actually. You probably already knew that. It's in two places. It's both in Matthew and Luke, and it's ask and it shall be given unto you. And I just think this is such a powerful statement. You know, it's more than just a promise that Jesus may or may not have said. We don't actually know. But it's a statement of law, you know, a statement of the way creation works, a way for us to participate in the process of creation consciously. It's a statement that says law doesn't discriminate. It doesn't just give to those who law deems worthy. Law works with mathematical effectiveness, responding directly to the resonance of our inner state. Ask and it is given, invites us to align our thoughts and our feelings with our state of being, with the resonance, the vibration of the answered prayer, until we embody it, until it becomes our state of being. Ask and it is given is an invitation to be aware of the way that we think and feel, and in the vibrational language of the universe, you know, like what I was talking about. Are my thoughts in coherence with how I feel, with what I'm vibrating, with the resonance of my being? And then we ask in faith. Then we state into law with faith from that place of the embodiment. And then that embodiment turns into trust. And then we don't even have to think about it in the law response. So let's jump into faith through science of mind treatment. Well, the very first thing we do when we decide to do a spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer is to decide what we're praying for. What's the purpose of our prayer? And it's very important not to couch our prayer as if we're asking for something that we think is missing, that we don't have. You know, we don't ask from a posture of lack, or we'll just receive more lack. It's a much more powerful prayer to ask from an assumption of demonstration, an assumption of fulfillment, to ask from the experience, the vibrational experience of the answered prayer. This is how we ask in the language of the universe, in resonance and vibration. Our purpose should embody the feeling tone of our answered prayer. Then our prayer it identifies the quality of God we want to express as a result of our prayer. For example, let's say I'm praying for a new car. You know, my purpose, rather than just having a new car, which will be the end, is to feel safe, to feel free, to travel wherever I want to go, to feel ease, to feel joy. That's the spiritual quality that is behind my prayer for a new car. Do you see what I'm getting at? To feel ease, to feel the quality of the divine that we want to experience. And when I put into my purpose those feelings that are already within me, identifying how I want to feel, that's just this powerful purpose. And I might add that it's important not to question or doubt the purpose of your prayer. You know, don't say, well, do I really need a car? Well, maybe I can get. No, we don't shrink away from our purpose. We have to honor it. The moment we judge our desire, we block it. The moment we doubt our desire, we delay its demonstration. We set our purpose with the same certainty and conviction that the Maccabees used when they lit the menorah. Faith is not something we add to our prayer. It's something that's woven through the entire process, the entire prayer. And then our purpose moves into an acknowledgement of what is. We move into recognition, which is the first step. We consciously recognize the reality of life. There is only one life, one presence, one infinite intelligence governing all creation. Faith here is our willingness to look beyond appearances and to affirm the nature of the universe as good, as orderly, as responsive. And this isn't just optimism or pie in the sky wishing, it's a knowing conviction. Faith recognizes that spirit isn't absent, spirit isn't divided, spirit doesn't withhold anything. It declares that the light is already present, regardless of the conditions we may be facing, no matter how many days of oil we have left. So, in recognition, faith says, there is a power greater than circumstance, and I am turning, focusing my attention toward it now. That's what we do in recognition. That's what faith is. It's knowing that there is a truth beyond what we can see. So in unification, which is the next step, I'm assuming that most of you probably know the steps. Unification is step two. Faith moves us into, here's where faith really, I like this. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words. I like this step because it makes faith intimate. It brings God home. This is my personal relationship, my intimacy with the divine truth. It's personal for me. We affirm that this one life isn't separate from me. This presence lives in me. There's no gap that I have to cross, no distance to overcome. Unification says, faith in unification says, this presence is my presence. This life is my life. Ah, you can feel it. It's an embodiment. Then we move into realization. In realization, faith becomes creative and directive. Realization is where faith speaks with clarity and with authority because I'm one with God, right? It speaks with the awareness of our oneness, with the infinite potential of God within us. This is where we embody the desired outcome. We embody the truth that the answered prayer already exists within the consciousness of God. Therefore, it exists within my consciousness because I'm one. This is faith in action. We hold a clear mental image, an embodiment of the felt experience, and we do it with confidence and with conviction, knowing that law responds to the resonance of our state of being, to the vibrational that we're holding. Even when the physical evidence is not yet visible, faith doesn't require proof. It requires alignment. In realization, faith says, I know this to be true now, and I am a channel for its expression. I am a channel for it to take form. It's powerful. And now faith relaxes into appreciation, right? Gratitude isn't just a polite thank you. It's an emotional confirmation. The faith has already accepted the good, has done. We've accepted this. And gratitude, at least for me, you can kind of feel the resonance of it. It removes any doubt, any anxiety, any need to feel like you have to have over effort. Here's where I think faith shifts into trust. We give thanks because we trust the law to do what it does. Without our supervision, we don't have to run the show. Gratitude signals that we're no longer trying to make things happen. We're participating with what is happening now. What we, through our state of being and our vibration, have set into motion. In this gratitude stage, faith says, I'm thankful because I trust the process of life. I trust the process of law, love and law. And then we release. We move into the final stage, which actually just might be the most profound act of faith. When we release, we surrender our attachment to the outcome. We surrender our the amount of time that it might take to bring it about, and even to the form that it might take. Not because we don't care, we care, but because we trust. This is where faith becomes peace. Neville Goddard called this step rest. I like that. We rest as we place the treatment, the prayer, into law. And then we just return to living and knowing that creative movement is underway. And this is another thing release prepares us to receive. It affirms that spirit doesn't need our control. It only needs our willingness and our firm conviction of faith. In release, faith says, I rest in the knowing that this is handled, that this is already so. I like that. Faith moves through all the steps. And spiritual mind treatment is such a complete and a comprehensive spiritual practice. We can feel faith moving through all the steps. It recognizes the presence of God. It unifies us with it and embodies truth as the felt experience of our desired outcome. It's grateful for the action of law. And then it releases it with a sense of rest and a willingness to receive. It feels open. Faith acts upon love and law. Just like the Maccabees lit the Hanukkah light, trusting first, and then the illumination followed. So our spiritual mind treatments are the acts of creation, carrying the faith of ask and it shall be given, seek and you will find, and knock and the door will be opened. Spiritual mind treatment brings the light to the darkness. It shines the way. So let's just move into prayer. So we know that God is light, love, the divine presence everywhere. And we know that it is us, that we are intimate with its love, with its power, with its presence, with its creativity, with its peace and compassion and beauty, with its joy. This is us. This is who we are. We cannot be anything else. And we are lifted up into the light of the realization of that truth. And as we hold it, as we embody it, it becomes who we know we are, with faith, with unshakable conviction and faith. And that has no choice but to outpicture as our lives in our human experience. The good of God, the allness of who we are, moves through this beautiful creative process and has no choice but to become our life. It will roll in ecstasy at our feet. So grateful for that. Can you feel gratitude just opening us up, deepening us in our conviction? And then we rest. We rest in the knowing. We don't have to control this. Spirit's got our back. Law is doing its magic, if you want to call it that. It feels magical sometimes. So we just rest in that knowing. We know that all is well. It can be nothing else. So with deep conviction, with deep joy, I release this prayer and we say it together. And so it is. Faith through the steps of treatment. Oh, well, let's see. Lisa, are you doing or is it me?
No, it's me.
Oh, it's you, Relaine. Oh, hey, Relaine. So let's see. I don't think we really need the ways to give right now, I guess.
No, this is the time to give. And What a wonderful feeling to give to the One Heart, One Mind community. As we receive so much, we give, and as we give, we receive. So please, please, you know, consider giving to One Heart, One Mind for all the wonderful, wonderful things that we receive in our connection and our community together and beyond. And then we have the little blessing. Michelle is looking up right now.
Yes, I am. I got it. There we are.
Here we go. Okay, so sacred giving. I give with a grateful heart, knowing that spirit is the source and the substance of all supply. I joyfully participate in the circulation of abundance. My offering blesses the world and returns to me multiplied. I am grateful and I am prosperous, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. I'll be right back to you for the benediction in a second. So, announcements. We are going to do our Monday prayer group, which is always wonderful. It's just such a nice kind of like a little respite in the evening. And then Tuesday we're going to have another class. We're talking about relationships this week in our a Return to Love discussion group. And I did post the pages on in the newsletter, but I'll send them out again in an email, just so just so you know. And because it's a long chapter, so I divided it into three. And then we're going to take a little holiday break for Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year. I was thinking about putting together some kind of a New Year's Day something. I haven't That hasn't fully congealed yet, but I'll let you know. I'm thinking we'll probably just do it on Zoom because um we have people from all over the place and I don't want to exclude anyone and that way I don't have to clean my house. Although I have to say it is kind of fun lighting those candles in person. But anyway, I think that's about it. Oh, prayer group. Are we doing prayer group again? I know you,
Yeah, yeah.
Elaine, I so appreciate you doing that during this period of time that can be tumultuous and bring up a lot of stuff for people to hold the space for people that would love to be held in prayer. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so there's a prayer circle this Wednesday, the 17th at 10 o'clock. So I hope to see you there.
That's so nice of you. I think I put that in the newsletter too, but
Yeah.
if not, I'll do it again. All right, and so I'll come back to you with the benediction in just a minute. Well, I guess no, now is the time for the benediction, and then we'll do the music.
Okay. Well, I kind of feel that Michelle's whole talk and her prayer was a prayer, everything. And so, I mean, you got the Maccabees, you got the Hanukkah, the light, you've got uh, the five-step treatment prayer and all the faith that goes with that. I mean, what a wonderful sermon and what a wonderful prayer. So let's just close our eyes and rest. How about that? Let's just rest in the knowingness, the calm confidence. Rest in the peace and the light and the love and the kindness and the compassion and just the illumination of our individual spirits, of our individual lights as they collectively shine together with everyone here and everyone beyond. And just to feel that illumination, that light, the divinity, and just to feel how we can just rest in consciousness and know that spirit is taking care of everything. And when we rest in consciousness, we're just holding the truth, right? We're holding the knowing, just an interior knowingness, as Swedenborg, I think, said. So we just hold this. And I'm so grateful. And gratitude, so wonderful, as Reverend Michelle says. So we just feel that through our bodies, that gratitude right now for each and every one of us, for our community, oh, for the love and the connection and the sharing that we all have with one another. And how beautiful is that? So we release this prayer into divine law, knowing absolutely, certainly, and positively that our prayers are already answered. And we simply say with feeling and love and law, it is all so. So we release, we let go, and so it is.
Perfect. Thank you. So I have this song from Michael Gott that I think will top off the light conversation. Can you hear it?
There's a light that shines in this room. There's a presence I can feel in this place. There's a spirit moving through us, alive in every face. It's the very light of God. There's a light that shines in this room, and we live and move in its glow. In this moment there's a oneness, the truth of who we are. We are the light, the very light of God. We are the light, the very light of God. There's a light that shines in this room. There's a presence I can feel in this place. There's a spirit moving through us, alive in every face. It's the very light of God. There's a light that shines in this room, and we live and move in its glow. In this moment there's a oneness, the truth of who we are. We are the light, the very light of God. We are the light, the very light of God.
Oh, yes, we are. We are the very light of God. I could feel that one. Felt good. All right. Well, I am going to say goodbye to our recording.